Jim Nagy's looking to upgrade the starting units, and he believes that there's going to be talent available to do that. Ott would be one of those guys. What else is Oklahoma going to do in the transfer portal when it opens on Wednesday? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, we know that Oklahoma is going to be in pursuit of Jaden Ott. Pete Nakos of On3 believes that they're the leaders. What else do you think that they're going to be doing in the transfer portal? Where else might they be active?
Don't be surprised if we're going for a tight end. Don't be surprised if we go for a tight end from a school that we've already gotten a player from. Mainly because Ben Arbuckle mentioned during the Crimson Combine that one position that he felt like has had the biggest improvement on the team was tight end. I'll give him that. It's pretty exciting to hear that that is how he feels about that, while at the same time we all understand that the bar was probably pretty low. And it's more so because the guys that we were the most excited about growing in that room have been dealing with injuries. That's what thing that we've been dealing with is some unfortunate, like we talk about the wide receiver room and it's bad luck. We should probably talk about the tight end room as well, because the tight end room has really need some sage. We need to figure out something, get something going on, because man, they have dealt with so much pain. We've seen some of the good recruits that we were excited about, especially the Nebraska boys. They have not really been participating because what? They've been dealing with injuries. So I anticipate that we'll be active in the tight end room. And John, to be honest, we talked about this last show a little bit with the potential of a Elijah Thomas or a Keontez Lewis or and Ivan Carry-On seizing the opportunity to play now that Jovantae Gibson is down. Same thing with Jaden Gibson. I can 100% see the Sooners going to get one more wide receiver, maybe two, just to make sure that room has got some game changers in preparation for the season. What other positions you think we're going to go after?
We know that Oklahoma is already in pursuit of an interior offensive lineman in Jake Maikkula. If they can land that, I think it's good to provide some center depth for Troy Everett and maybe even somebody that could push him a little bit for a starting job. Troy Everett is solid, and I think he's got a really nice floor to him. But if you can continue to improve your offensive line, you've got good stability. Your guys that you're projecting to start, they've been healthy all camp, and that's a great sign for the potential for this unit. But got to keep them all healthy, and you know that injuries are going to happen. And if you have an injury to left tackle and Jacob Sexton goes down, well, you're inserting Michael Fasusi. If you have an injury to Fabechi Wiwu at right guard, well, you're going to get to see the Ryan Foje show. Right tackle, Derek Simmons goes down. You've got Luke Baklenko waiting in the wings, Jake Taylor as well. So you've got depth there. At center, your depth is not as solid as it is everywhere else along the offensive line. So a Jake Maikkula, that is a good place to go. If Oklahoma is able to pursue and win the recruiting battle for Jake Maikkula, I think that's the place where you add some center depth. You give Troy Everett somebody that gives him somebody to compete with and pushes him a little bit throughout the offseason, and you just improve your competitive depth. Your depth along the rest of the offensive line is really good. You're solid everywhere else. Center is the one place where there's a bit of a question mark. Another place where I think there might be a little bit of a question mark, Jay, and you can go back to center here in a second, and that's cornerback. I think it's the only other place where I feel like there might be a question mark. And again, this is just based on what we haven't seen. And we haven't seen anybody other than Eli Bowen or Gentry Williams play at a really, really high level. And so you have a question mark there.
Yeah, DB is definitely the one that we all know. And it's not, like I said, it's not an indictment or anything against other players in that room. You got a lot of young guys. So you probably want to get yourself one more proven player, and then you can rotate those young ones in there with them. More so the veteran, you want them to play a lot of, some of the critical moments in the game. And then you can rotate your young players in there to give them a breath and get them some experience. That way, going into 26, you don't have that concern anymore. But like you said, Eli and Gentry are the two DBs that you have seen play. Kendall Dobie as well, which it looks like he should make an appearance again. So that kind of gives you 3 DBs that you feel comfortable with, while at the same time thinking about that, if you haven't seen what Gentry can do because it's been a year. That shoulder, you don't know what it is. And then Eli goes down with an ankle injury, in which by the time season hits, fall camp hits, he should be back to Eli Bowen status. So you'll see how that goes. You definitely want to add yourself one more veteran. But back to the center itself, getting a Jake Maikkula, one of the big, I guess, selling points for Oklahoma for him is you may not start this year. You'll be there to push probably Troy Everett. But there's a very good chance the starting job is yours next season. And if you can sell that, because think about it, right behind Everett right now is you got Josh Isosa, you got Sean Hutton, you've got Owen Hollenbeck. And as great as the potential those 3 are, they're young, super green, no experience. And you would like to have those guys be in the system for a couple of years before you put them on the field. I know we're very high on all 3 of them and think that all 3 can provide yourself a spark that you're going to look for when it comes to that offensive line. But you want to make sure that you have someone that's more of a veteran that's actually got the snaps. And Maikkula will give you that good insurance, because we've also learned one major thing too, John. If you ain't got a backup center, and your main center goes down, things don't look very good. We went through 4 centers last season. Remember that, y'all. We had 4. From Branson Hickman, Troy Everett started it. He gets hurt. You get Branson Hickman out of the portal. You got Hickman. You got Gary and Hatchett. You played Bates there as well. You had 4 centers that had to play last season because dealing with a whole bunch of injuries. And then if you had to go back again to the well, you're going to a true freshman. Do you want a true freshman snapping the ball to other inexperienced quarterbacks? Nah, you won't do that. So I think Maikkula coming in, being able to work with, honestly, the second unit heavily, working closely with Michael Hawkins, building a rapport there, that they may be each other. You know, right? That may be his dude. And then the next season after that, because Maikkula will have one more year. He has 2 years if we picked him up. So that means that he's gone after 26. Then it'll be Hawkins with his next center, who should have some rapport at that point. And that gives you just that one more season for Hawkins to go out there, do what he does best, prep for the league, and then the cycle continues.
Well, and not only Hawkins, but you begin to develop a rapport with Ryan Foje, who's going to be your right guard, and maybe with Heath Ozida, who's going to be your left guard. So that second unit has their center of the future that they can begin building that chemistry and that continuity with, and that communication with, as they're working with the second team. I think it'd be a huge pickup. It's one of those that's like, it may not be as critical as adding a Jaden Ott and really improving your running back room, but it's not far behind, because as you mentioned, losing your starting center, it has huge ramifications on the rest of your offensive line. Like, not having a guy that is experienced and able to lead the way for the offensive line, that really does have a big ripple effect on its ability to produce. So Jake Maikkula, I mean, there might not be a more important position battle or recruiting battle that Oklahoma has in the spring portal session than that one. Because if you lose Troy Everett to injury, you're going to be in a bad way. And that's, again, no disrespect to the young guys. It's just, you don't have a lot of experience there. And unless you've got a guy that you project to be a future NFLer, and you just think, okay, experience is all he needs, he's going to be that guy, then okay, maybe. But if you're not sold on the fact that one of the guys on your depth chart could be a future NFL starter at center behind Troy Everett, then you need to make an addition, and you got to make it in the portal. Last thing I want to ask you here on Kendall Dobie. What do you think the potential is that they could move him to cornerback with the emergence of Kendall Daniels and Reggie Powers III at Cheetah?
I think it'd be a great idea. we've seen Dolby in coverage, and he looks really good. So you could take advantage of that. And the other thing is that you can sneak him in towards nickel and have him blitz with someone going to the outside to catch on the flat for him. So because of his versatile ability, and we've seen him be really good on pursuit for quarterbacks, yeah, it would make sense to put him out there with with an Eli, or replace an Eli with him and have a Gentry on the other side. The good thing is you've got 3 corners that can play. Now, granted, he was cleared a month ago, BV said, but they're, playing with caution, similar with Eli's and Gentry, why you haven't really seen those 3. But watching him go through drills looks like a little bit like his old self. The good thing for him is whenever you get closer to the season, and if you do add a veteran corner, you now establish yourself with an easy 2 deep that is going to be able to actually play, that's played some snaps. But KD going out there and being there, because like you mentioned, Kendall Daniels, Reggie Powers have stepped up in that cheater role. Same thing with Taylor Heim. The big thing is with Daniels and Heim at their size, 6'5" and 6'6", and that makes them very dangerous on the defensive side, because it's going to be kind of hard to throw the ball against dudes that big, and they're willing to hit. You got some dudes that's going to be some stoppers on the run game. So, and that's basically what you're getting out of Kip and Kobe anyway, too. Your entire linebacker room is built for that. So I do like the idea of Dolby playing more corner. He's going to play some nickel, but I would love for him to play on the outside as well.
Yeah, and if they have thoughts of that, I could understand then if they decided not to go into the portal and grab a cornerback. I think there's going to be some interesting options for them. We're already seeing some names of guys that are either at the FCS or the group of 5 level entering the transfer portal at the cornerback position. So there might be some intriguing options for Oklahoma, but I think if they do add a guy, it's going to be somebody that has more than just 1 year of eligibility remaining, because if you bring him in and say he's not a better option than what you've already got on the roster, well, you want to continue to have that depth, have that ability, and let the competition play out and see how it all unfolds. But I think you've got intriguing options, and a guy like Jacoby Johnson, people have been speaking really highly of him and what he's been able to do with Eli Bowen and Gentry Williams sitting out. He's gotten a lot of run. He's gotten a lot of opportunity to take some first team reps with the defense. Same with guys like Malik Hawkins and Cortland Guillory and Tristan Haynes. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds when we get to fall camp, but it's going to be one of those position battles that we continue to watch, and we'll break it down here on Locked On Sooners. The NIL transfer portal drama does not stop with Oklahoma. Nico Yamaliava and the Tennessee Volunteers made a lot of headlines over the weekend for what happened out in Knoxville. We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.